in the introduction, Sheetal mentioned something about the SAFE group. Now, it'll be a mixed reaction as to how many people who are aware of what exactly the SAFE group is. So maybe we could begin by exploring that. Pankaj, if you can just explain to us.
Good evening, all. Thank you very much for inviting me. Is it audible?
Hello.
Yeah. Thank you all. It's very nice to meet you, and thank you for me inviting us into representing a SAFE group. SAFE group was formed almost 4 years before, which is a consistent of all my members, NAC, BSc, CDSL, NSDL, ICCL, NCL, everybody, their representative, and almost 22 back office vendor that include in-house developer also. So because of this initiative of SAFE group, imagine last 4 years, how much updates you people had get it. And somehow majority is a very straight through process. Hardly any issue. Almost SAFE group has done more than 100 of session. Every session is a kind of marathon run kind of. Some days, even Nilesh bhai, we are all morning session, evening session, even real-time session. Some CDSL come out with certain structure and there's not working. Within 5 minutes, we are making session. And thanks to all, somehow we can able to deliver majority of big thing. Biggest challenge is UDIF. More than 300 data file structure changed, and we are able to deliver it to you. So that's the biggest achievement. Other than UDIF, direct payout, as well as allocation, everything. So this is our all combined efforts has given this good result. That is what Nilesh bhai is also is a key member. My other partner Pranav bhai is also there. Who is others and Nilesh bhai in for SAFE group.
Hello, good evening. First of all, we would like to thank ANMI on behalf of entire vendor, back office vendor group, because this is the first event where people recognize back office. Otherwise, most of the time, in my 38 years of experience, it has been, a very ignored component or people were taking as granted sort of thing. But nobody realizes the silent support of entire back office vendor community. We would like to thank entire ANMI for this wonderful idea. About the SAFE group, when the lockdown started, we started a journey. Like I attended one SEBI meeting, and then we thought, because 1 or 2 vendors are invited, the market will suffer. So I asked SEBI and requested that I will try and collect all the vendors so that it is easier for the people to explain, hundreds of questions. And SEBI permitted that. So then I was not sure whether all the competitors, so-called back office competitor, but whether they will support this group or not, sort of thing. But gracefully and luckily, all these back office vendor, even as on today, we all are very good friends, helping each other in any problem, sharing sample data, logic, etc. Second thing, the biggest advantage to the market by forming this group was related to the compliance subject. Earlier, what used to happen, in my almost, I can say, 32, 33 years of experience, every time when there is a compliance circular, we used to contact broker. Broker explains in their own way. But the problem was, brokers were right, but the opinions were different and scattered. One broker said, "Aisa hi compliance hota hai." Second said, "Aisa hi hota hai." So what has happened, after our formation of group, when we started interacting with all the authorities, then at least everything is standardized. And there was no, I would say most of the things were very clear from the regulators directly, rather than taking opinion of other things. So that was the biggest advantage to market. Second thing, if you see the other side, all these MII, that is NSE, BSE, exchange, clearing, etc. they have been benefited largely. Because see, in market, suppose if 1,000 brokers are there, and each of them ask even 10 questions, it has been huge thing for them to reply, and the reply was also little bit different. So that everything is concentrated, they used to tell us, and we all vendors used to take care of our clients. So that has really happened in a better way, and structured way. So nowadays what happens, earlier when we had any query, we had to go through broker for exchange. Now they call us directly, we call them directly, and most of the things get clarified. So that was the biggest advantage. Thank you.
So SEBI's become smart now, right? So broker ko bolne ko chance hi nahi it's not possible. They first make it possible, then they pass the circular. So, right.
One thing I would like to mention, earlier before this group and compliance, whenever in market, with all due respect to broker, ये बोलता है नहीं ये broker ने किया वही rule बरोबर है. Some other broker, all these vendors were getting irritated because 5 different clients of the same vendor gets different opinion about compliance. So now at least we made a point that we don't listen to anyone, directly speak to exchanges. That has simplified life for us also and for the market also.
So Nilesh, the MI is also part of the SAFE group?
No. See, in SAFE group, basically all the vendors are part. Most of the time, in-house people are not that part, but whenever there are some critical aspect, we also invite them because ultimately it is an ecosystem. We also need some feedback from market and people. But MI is not part of that.
But you interact with them and SEBI?
Yeah, we personally interact with all the MI till MD level and even sometimes to the regulator SEBI, so that things are getting improved. You may appreciate that last 4-5 years, entire market, including vendors and even the MI, all are like suffering. They have been irritated a number of times because most of the circular came in last 5 years, which we have not seen in our history. But thankfully, it has been implemented on time, and all the credit goes to entire vendor group, helping each other and implementing on time. Otherwise, it was a marathon task. Pledge replace system, impossible if vendors were not united. Even this other system of segregation allocation, major systems came, properly and implemented in time because of the unity plus the clarity and vendor helping each other. That was the biggest achievement.
Yeah,
the biggest part was that we vendor, even we had queries.
UD was a marathon task, as Pankaj Bhai mentioned, around 300 file formats, which was like impossible task for any vendor to rewrite, but it has also gone very smoothly with all.
All right. So now let's move on to a fundamental question that I think sets the foundation for this entire discussion tonight. We often talk about back office vendors as service providers. But the reality is much deeper than that. In today's complex compliance environment, back office vendors are evolved into strategic partners that are integral to the entire broking ecosystem. So my question to Samir and Bhavesh Bhai is this. Could you help us understand the evolving role of a back office vendor in the broad ecosystem? How do you see yourselves not just as technology providers, but strategic partners to the brokers? And how and what does this partnership really mean in practical terms of day-to-day operations?
Hi everyone, I first of all would like to thank ANMI to invite me and put me on the stage. Thanks for that. Answering your question, I'll start with what Nilesh Bhai told, that back office is a backbone of this business, and I thoroughly believe it. If you see nowadays, we as a broker has been seen like a bank, you can do this, you can't do this, this has to be done in this fashion, this has to be done in this way. There are all rules being applied in the system, and that's where the role of back office comes into picture, to take care of all this environment, to take care of the compliance, to take care of their investors' requirement. Okay, so I would say back office definitely from day one was supposed to be a backbone of this business, and going ahead, it will play a very important role. Every broker needs to understand this very clearly.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting us. And I'm taking this as opportunity to getting a little bit nostalgic about the things like the back office vendors are being the first time they have been recognized. And I see the things back in 1995 when we were developing the applications and running around with the brokers, helping them at keeping the books for their day-to-day trading, what they are doing, pit tradings. And the chopperies were filled into the systems. There was the days when this back office started to evolve. And I still remember one of my client, वो ये कहते थे चौपड़ी को किसी तरह कंप्यूटर में दिखा दो तो ये चढ़ जानी चाहिए. And then in future, NSE did it what they actually thought. And if you go into the deeper sense of the back office software, the market has evolved just because of the back office. Because we have taken up the load of the compliances and other things and relating the load and number of transactions, how much you can take and process. So complete data, the accuracies of the databases and everything in compliances, making the life of all the everybody so easy that we can manage it and you can escalate your data, your businesses over as. So definitely this is going to be in hand, time and again, as you can see if you yourself just have a view at on your back office vendors, how they were 20 years back and what they were doing 20 years back when the dot matrix printers were jumping here and there. And to the day all the transactions are getting online, you don't even have to worry about it. You just, on a WhatsApp, you get all the reports and everything is so much streamlined, you can just look into your businesses. So I think that has been the silent heroes in your cases.
That's great. Now let's dive into the more critical aspects of this partnership, compliance. In today's regulatory environment, compliance is not just about following rules, it's about staying ahead of them. And increasingly, the responsibility does not lie with the brokers alone. The broker vendors, back office vendors, have become critical partners in ensuring compliance adherence. Nilesh bhai, I'd like to ask this question to you. How do you see the role of back office vendors in evolving compliance landscape? What specific compliance responsibilities do you shoulder as a vendor? And how do you ensure that your systems not only meet the current regulatory environment, but also adapt to the changing compliance needs? Also, I believe you have some insight in the ST QC compliance. If you could please shed some light on that.
First of all, before understanding compliance, the role or the one need to appreciate what a back office vendor is managing. We people, back office, we are managing almost 30 plus entities. Cash market NSE BSE, F&O NSE BSE, currency, commodity and all. So almost if you see the segment exchange combination, the scope is very huge, About 14, to the best of my knowledge, 14 is the segment exchange combination. Then we are also handling SEBI related compliances. Then add on to that all 4 clearing corporation, because as you are aware, all this clearing has a different logic, different interpretation, and many things are now getting standardized. But so if you add all this, then GIFT City exchanges, then 2 depositories. So the role first, is very challenging. And in spite of everything, front office integration. So each back office vendor has to take care of 3, 4, 5 multiple entities of front office. If you count in annual total, it will be around 30, 35. I don't know which I have missed. Add on to that is GST, income tax, stamp duty, and all other aspect, which again we people have to manage. So these are the role which we are taking. On top of that, all the brokers. Brokers again divided into operation team of the broker, the compliance officer or compliance team, and even the technology side also we need to manage, which includes that STQC also. Then obviously as a vendor, we at our end, that is the back end of us, we need to manage our programming team, our customer support team, and understand the compliance from wherever the sources are available. Now looking at all this, if you see last 20, 25 years back, all this compliance, see we people, we and you all, we get irritated by the compliance because of the burden. But I would take it differently and positively. because of the compliance, the market has expanded so well. If you see last, after I think Harshad Mehta, Teji and Ketan Parekh, this thing, there were a lot of SECI things in the market. So the trust has been created because of the strong SEBI or all these authorities, implementation, rules and regulation. Right from derivative where margin reporting started, then centralized accounting. Earlier, it was decentralized. A lot of fraud used to happen. So if you see the compliance thing, even though we get irritated, we are like tortured, we fell. But without these things, it would not have been possible. Specifically, after lockdown, the best part implemented by the regulator is related to the margin pledge replace system, where you have a visibility till the last client end. So, brokers are also safe. No doubt, all these things has created extra burden on broker and obviously on vendor also in terms of explaining, interpreting a lot of things. But because of the margin norms and a lot of big systems, even peak margin if you see, or recent is the direct payout, common contract note, everything is getting implemented properly with regulators. Obviously, there are challenges, but if you see all things together, because of the compliance, all these brokers have been able to expand and they are existing. Otherwise, a lot of fraud, lot of things would have happened. And with specifically all these online thing, the fraud would have been very big, But still, I think market is regulated very properly because of the back office related compliances, strict guidelines, etc. And sincerely, we should thank SEBI and all MII for that, Forget the interpretation part, but if these rules would not have been there, I think market would have been very bad shape with a lot of increasing investor market participation.
No, definitely. With the pledge system in place, I mean, we had such a lot of volatility this year, but everything went well, Initially, safely people are working.
Today, this common contract not finally got implemented. Implemented today, so after 1 year. But see, every extension which has been given by the regulators because of whatever reason, ultimately back office and people are sufferers because every extension is costing, maintaining multiple version, etc. But in and all, it is good that, entire market is, I would say, streamlined. Second and most important thing, which I don't know many people have noticed or not, is the margining part. Earlier, there were some compliance which says you have to collect margin. So a lot of people were collecting margin but not reporting because it was not that strict. Now, then what happened, unfair competition among the market. One broker is taking less margin, one broker is taking more margin, or some brokers were not taking margin. So now everybody is at par, so the competition also becomes stringent, everything is offered properly, which is, I think, which is helpful to the broking community.
The common contract going live today, I really appreciate your presence here today. Thank you so much for that. Now let's get into the real world challenges that you face as a back office vendor. Running a back office technology business isn't easy. You have to deal with diverse client requirements, rapidly changing regulations, technology upgrades, and market volatility, and constant pressure to innovate while maintaining stability. What is the biggest challenge? As brokers, we very often see our side of the, story. But what actually happens on the other side? How does the magic happen at the right day at the compliance? You press a button, the process works. So what is the biggest challenges you face as back office vendors today? Whether it's technology related, client management, regulatory pressures, or operational hurdles. And more importantly, what innovative models or strategies have you developed to overcome these challenges? I'm sure many of our broker members here would be interested to understand the vendor's perspective. It ultimately impacts the solutions and the service they receive.
If you see challenges, whatever you mention, all these challenges are there and existing. But see, what has happened is, first of all, understand the life cycle of any back office software. It starts from development, maintain that source, And because of lot of regulatory coming simultaneously, regulations, it is impacting a back office a lot. So for example, during the UDIF migration, regulators came out with this ASBA, then T0, and then I think upstream also. So if all these implementations are going on simultaneously, then vendor cannot test their source code properly because half things are there. Then all of a sudden we find on T-1 that this got extended. So for a vendor, the major challenge is to maintain the version, quality of the compliance which has been there, and then implementing. The second challenge, so that was internal to the programming team of the broker, a vendor. Second thing is implementing these changes to the broker. With all due respect, it has been a very difficult task for all of us to explain the compliance to the broker. Like I think more often I say, all this exchange job of explaining it to broker has been passed on to all the vendors. So all the brokers ask us, all the vendors, and then try and understand that. So the operation team, training, etc. is a big task. Then testing. You might have noticed, and this is on behalf of, liberty of all the vendors, that most of the release comes on last day or two, only 1 or 2 days before that. Lot of brokers out, we don't get time to test. But understand the difficulty at other side. First of all, specifications are not clear. We all internally struggle by arranging internal meeting. We communicate to a lot of brokers. Then we derive our logic. Sometimes we get clarity from the exchange. Sometimes it is like a blind game. We also implement the way we understand. And then obviously there are iteration. So the broker may feel that releases are coming late. But one has to genuinely understand that releases are coming on time. Otherwise, even that also you can't expect because of lot of complexities. Recently, if you see this case collateral MTF, margin funding, there are a lot of complications. I speak to a lot of brokers, even our client or some other in-house people, a lot of senior team. There are no clarity. Now, how one can expect to go live on 18th when vendors themselves are not clear? And so all these are the challenges which we faced.
One more I can add over here, many times we have seen, as a vendor I'm talking, when we deployed a version to all the broking house and suddenly we come to know, okay, we have to immediately roll back. Okay, so, that phase is very difficult for every one of us sitting over here will be knowing it, how the back office staff, has to take care of all this event to maintain all this thing for that particular time till we say, chalo ye live hua, abhi baat khatam hui. Till then, that thing is always there.
More what has been added is for the technical side of what is coming to the vendors, which is to be understood by the members. Like there is also a big role from their side. What is we expected from the cyber security circular, which is there is a major role what they have to get into. It's not all the responsibility of the back office vendors has to implement everything, but they have to look into the things and they have to manage and they have to do it hand to hand with the vendor and brokers. So there is a little bit of a challenge. Right now what we are facing is the technology parts also.
Arjun bhai, as a vendor, I expect whenever new circulars come, it has to be parallel process rather than 0-1. Let's say rather than rollback, they give, let's say a vendor has finished his job, don't tell them to roll back. That is the way you people just pursue, okay, please give us a parallel run. Rather than, let's say today A, tomorrow B, and at the night 11 o'clock roll back to B to A. So it has to be parallel run is the best way if possible.
So to rephrase this, the updates you do are not fungible, right? So it is not that you're giving a update. When you do a rollback, you're doing 2 updates. You're going from the old to the new version, again new to the old version, and fingers crossed that everything works, right? So, yeah, fair enough. Okay, so let's change this, flip the conversation. We've heard that vendor challenges, and compliance roles, but I think it's important to understand this relationship from both sides. Kuldeep, my question to you, as back office vendors, you invest heavily in technology support and innovation to serve brokers. But partnerships work both ways. What are your expectations from the brokers as clients? What would you want to see from the broking community to make partnership more effective and mutually beneficial? Are there specific areas where better cooperation or understanding from brokers could help you to deliver better solutions? I think this is important for our broker members to hear this, because better understanding vendor expectations can lead to better partnerships for everyone.
Thank you, sir. First of all, thank you. And you are the one, that is why we are here. And today, every broker wants to go to home and sleep peacefully, thinking all the things are taken care by the back office vendor or a back office software. We are thinking the same. We can take all the things automatically. For that, we need the technology person both the sides, so that they can understand the circular, understand the technology, and how the system will run and how the market will run, so that they can easily understand the complications of the systems and easily understand the problem what we are facing at our side. Because we have to develop the system for all the brokers, but they have the different opinions.
Right.
So, so that when we are going to explain the any circular to a broker, they have the different opinion. We have to take together to in a single page, so that we can implement our system. And each and everything in the technology have a very great part in the current scenario. If you see the current market, there is a most of the broker who are have a good technical support. They are growing more.
Yeah.
We cannot avoid the technology. We have to take it as our growing partner, so that we can grow. And I think in current market, I can see a very good in Indian stock market. It's growing more and more day by day, and we have to compile all the circular in before the time, and we should expect from the broker, so they take the more technical person at their end, so that we take any circular, any implementation very easily. Thank you.
Thank you. So, all right, so now let's look ahead to the future. Technology is evolving rapidly, and so are the market expectations. The question in particular relevant given some recent developments. ANMI recently had the opportunity to visit the clearing corporations, NCL and ICCL. And one really good thing that stood out was their heavy focus on API development going ahead. They are clearly betting big on APIs as the future for market infrastructure. From back office vendor perspective, where do you see the back office technology heading? What is the roadmap for tech upgrades, especially around API integration? And how are we preparing for this API-driven future? And what should the brokers expect in terms of new technology capabilities? This is critical because if clearing corporations are moving towards an API-first architecture, our entire ecosystem also needs to be ready for the transition.
As far as my understanding is concerned, we are moving from batch processing to API integration. No more file-based. Day by day, file I/O will decrease and API integrations increase. So our new challenge is there are still a lot more file. You can say we expect UDIF 2.0. In first phase, almost 200 files, 300 files is converted into UDIF. Still there are another 100 files are segment exchange specific. So that is a standardization further. Second second thing is more moving towards API. And third is ASBA. I think majority broker over here are waiting for ASBA integration, where totally it's absolutely seamless. Accounting and financial transaction is absolutely seamless. That is only possible through ASBA. And that is the future I am looking for. And one more area is not weird, just tech, is a cyber security part is there. Cyber security is going to be real challenge for everybody. See, in normal your audit report, we always pray, hey, I require very less observation. So my suggestion to everybody, let's encourage more observation is good for you. Because down the corner, some small college guy are easily penetrate your system. In here is a tech action in LD. We are both of there is a small person in Pune. Even some of the broker already VAPT tested, right? Even though he's penetrated. SEBI has called us and we had cracked that of how we improve. But what I wish over here, everybody serious about two things. One is a cyber security, and please take a backup religiously. You find that very small thing, having a backup, you ask your IT guy and say, where is your backup? Maybe one or two, every year, I come across with a 2-3 broker, it's a very big, they were spending huge amount in IT infra, but on fine day, system crash and they don't have backup. Why? Because the previous IT guys not train them, or they are backup from some wrong path. So cyber security is the biggest threat. That is even you can.
In cyber securities, I would like to add, it is like hand to hand. Broker will have an equal role with the vendor. It cannot be like a vendor taking care of everything. It's the broker IT team will have an equal role to take care of cyber security. And backup, definitely you have to have a policy sort of system. It cannot be a backup just taken. There should be a policy defined when you take a backup. How you are taking, where you are taking, how frequently it is getting overwritten. So it has to be defined properly. So these are two important things which in backups are definitely now, but in future when you talk cyber security, my view is very clear that it is equal job for both of us. It's not only the vendor, but broker has to equally participate to take care of it.
One point to it, like the cyber security, like currently for everybody, the cyber security has been something like they are just not aware about what is actually happening. So I would request the ANMI and other participants to have a small sessions to make a understanding to the members what their exactly roles are in a smaller session and understandable sessions. Because the clarity of the flow of the data should be there. What is their responsibility, how they have to manage it. So those responsibilities, what there is, what they can do, what exactly can be done into it, how they can safeguard their data. So those sessions can help. Instead of only the auditors telling them these are the issues, just get it corrected. These are the issues, get it corrected. They are least bothered and they are least concerned about what exactly is happening. That is my perspective. I think everybody is connected with it. So I hope some smaller sessions can help in understanding of this. That will be a real help to everybody.
Actually, we could hold a webinar in terms of backup solutions or any cyber hygiene that you would, want to suggest to brokers. Because obviously, a failure at a broker level will again, escalate into, multiple failures at broker levels will and then, block your pipelines in terms of being able to attend to those clients on SOS basis. One, I think I'll just take 5 minutes of your time here, that in terms of backup that you mentioned, so which is primarily what saves a broker in terms of a ransomware attack. What would you, see, we're not endorsing any product here, for sure. But then in terms of experience, what would you suggest are few of the good solutions that a broker can look at in terms of backup solutions?
As per my understanding, there should be a multiple site locations. It should be like there is now space on the like cloud spaces are there. There are the physical, and one backup should always remain out of the office. That is my experience. What I've come to know. One backup, at least once in a week, one should take it at home. Whether the IT team or somebody responsible, he should take a copy of a backup at home. So that will be a great help in case of any attack. In case of any attack, the servers get hacked, everything gets choked up, and you are not able to retrieve your backups. that will be a great help if they can take a physical copy of a backup at home, and that will be saved their life. As per my understanding, like last 3-4 years when there was so much of the attacks on the systems, those were the people who were taking the backups on the pen drive of they were the people who saved their data. Yeah.
My one more suggestion is this: at least once in a year, you recheck your backup. Let's see, restore the data and see whether your backup is right or wrong. People take a backup, but on fine day they realized that backup is not, hard drive already full था, corrupt था, और ले रहा था 2003-4 साल पहले वाला डेटा आपका बैकअप, करंट ईयर का पाथ सेट नहीं हुआ था. Very small thing. Normally director always asks, right, hey, backup ले लिया, बोल दिया, yeah, backup ले लिया. But once in a year, restore the data and see it, the backup है कि नहीं है. Very simple task, but is a very important.
There is a one part and there is a VR side which is maintained by the back office vendors, which we are not getting into.
Okay, thank you so much for an innovative session. We really appreciate your presence here today. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, so let's have a quick Q&A session. So.
सपोज़ कि आपको तुहिन जी का कॉल आए कि ऐसी क्या चीज़ है जो रिक्वायर्ड है नहीं और सेबी किए जा रही है या एक्सचेंज किए जा रहा है, ऐसी क्या चीज़ है, तो आप क्या सजेस्ट करोगे कि कौन सी चीज़ ऐसी है जिसकी रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है पर सालों से हो रही है. एक और चीज़ है. और सपोज़ कि आपको आनंद नारायण जी का कॉल आए और ये पूछे कि ऐसी क्या चीज़ है कि जो नेक्स्ट कार भी बन सकता है, तो मुझे दोनों आंसर चाहिए कि क्या है जो जिसकी रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है और क्या ऐसी चीज़ है जो आज नहीं तो कल वो एक बड़ा प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है.
See, the first of all, requirement nahi hai. That means you are doing extra work which may not be utilized by the regulator in terms of lot of data analytics, right? So we are in touch with regulators many times, and even simplifying, you have mentioned only requirement nahi hai, but there are requirements. But what is happening right now is ultimately, if you see the UCC structure, NSE, BSE different, third, fourth, standardization phase 2 is not happening. So in fact, we are in touch with that to reduce the burden, which is also one of the things. Rather than maintain, it is a common sense that a client data is client data, right? Date of birth, pen, etc. Still there are various formats. If you see this 4 or 5 KRA, your UCC, your DP related, so we are telling regulators also to reduce that, number one. Number two, if you see in past, lot of reports like margin reporting earlier, once in a month. So those things, at least personally, I have been interacting, तभी vendor group भी नहीं था, with too many regulators. तो हम लोग उनको बोलते थे कि ये आप use नहीं कर रहे हो, let us stop it. And ultimately, after 1 year, 2 years, if someone remembers, they used to stop it. Still, as of today also, our concern as a vendor is, see now, the margin collection, for example, MG13. MG13, there is a 2 component, one is the ledger, one is the collateral. So you are reporting A plus B. Now collateral is already known to the regulators by way of that pledge repledge. So we just tell them, you only take now ledger. Why? See, what is happening here is a thin line. First of all, by reporting something, ultimately what happens? If I report collateral as X, and as per the regulator or this exchange compliance, collateral valuation is Y, they will ask you a query. Now, first of all, why are they giving this mismatch? If they know margin is X, which is there, they don't expect you from this, See what will happen, it is a random thing which is going on. I report 5 lakh margin collected, non-cash collateral. As per exchange, it is 4,90,000. Maybe because of price, because of manipulation, because of technical error in the back office or user operation. So now the broker is penalized. So when I personally, spoke to a lot of regulators and all, I said, जो चीज आप क्रॉस वेरीफाई करते हो उसको आप ब्रोकर से लो ही नहीं, So slowly, slowly it is happening. So that will reduce the burden. You should not report something and then they compare and cross-tally and say it is your mismatch, you pay penalty. Instead, they should not take it from you because the data reliability is at the other side. In even segregation allocation, there is one concept called the margin lying with other CC or other CC. We have been telling, at least I have been speaking to them and telling that you know all the CCs now, everything is there. Why don't you call it? If I say 1 crore is sold in, let's say NCL, and I say margin is lying with ICCL, are they going to believe? Randomly yes, randomly no. If they don't believe, it is okay. If they believe ki barabar hai, so there are chances of again fraud and all this, the thing which you said, na Karvi sort of thing. Instead, they should collect total collateral from all the clearing corporation and then only come out with the shortage. This will reduce penalty burden, your work, and at the same time it will be more efficient. Otherwise, you report, it is collected. If you see the classic example was earlier the stamp duty, state-wise stamp duty. If a person comes for inspection at Bombay, Maharashtra, they say I am paying in Gujarat because my client is there in Gujarat. If the same person goes there, they say you are paying in Maharashtra. So all these things were decentralized. Now they have absolute control of the data, the clearing or the exchange. They should synchronize their thing so that it is easier for the broker. And it is not creating anything, it is just I would say waste of clerical work. Then it is resulting into penalty because of some technical error. Sometimes you have seen all these, which was the file, which we were reporting copy paste file for holding an enhanced supervision to all the exchange. NCL, ICCL, MCX and NCDEX clearing. Why 4 files if the data is same? It has to be same format and uploaded only once to probably the regulator side or somewhere. So they are working on that. So that will reduce all the fraud and even the technical error and the penalty on broker. They are now at least listening. They are working on this. So it will probably gradually it will reduce. Second question, what you said? That way I think brokers are expert in that, not we.
पर आपको ये पता होता है
See, ultimately if something
क्या है, आप हमारे
then,
डॉक्टर हो, तो
I'll
आपको पता
I'll
है.
tell you on a serious note that suppose if we means any of the vendor that yes, this may be the loopholes in brokers payout process or let's say share release process, etc. We try and correct ourselves that this probability or this control is required in the software. That is how we improve our software. So, but this is like an ongoing thing, You never know ki, who is better. Chor ke paas bhi bahut se raste hai, police ke paas bhi hai. But ultimately, there has to be a solution which will reduce. And if this direct payout is a classic example, direct payout, so what is happening is, first of all, it has reduced the work of broker as such for the normal thing. And you mark CUSPA, you mark MTF. Now what will happen, Direct payout is actually, if you see technically, it is a ASBA 2 ka second part. So if fund also are mobilized that way, it will reduce the fraud and it will reduce the risk even at the broker end, because at broker end also there are a lot of fraud which happens knowingly or unknowingly because of user error, because of some person in brokerage. So this will get reduced by a lot of control. If you see last 4-5 years, whenever market went down or drastically, you will not find कि ये broker default का problem है, pay in का ये broker का है, because now the things are, I think, tightened that way and it is ongoing process. बाकी fraud का तो हमको भी नहीं पता रहता है.
One important thing related to Nilesh, you have also mentioned, sometime if any circular is coming and implementation is getting delayed, sometime it's even 1 year, right? So in that particular case, now you have mentioned there is a group SAFE where last 4 years people are connected. Whenever regulatory is coming out with any new changes, because it's continuously happening, whenever something is big, why not I can say timeline which can be set jointly between the regulator and I can say software vendors, So these sort of, I can say, multiple time, I can say, postponement or something that will not come, that is creating problem for, I can say, from software vendor side also, from broker side also, and many point of time. Those things are, Pankaj Bhai has also mentioned, sometimes it's required to be redo all the work, and that's very, very challenging. So in bigger cases, how to resolve that particular thing there, because more role will come between the software vendors and regulator rather than with
it is
the
cost
broker.
also for both broker, testing, etc. See, what we always try and do is, we as a vendor, whenever we get any complex circular, minor circulars are okay, people are managing,
Fine, yeah.
like MTF, we first internally we apply our brain and come out with some questions, etc. But before that, unfortunately, what happens, circular is published, there is a deadline. Now, fine, deadline may be 1 month, 2 months, whatever. But the problem is, the real problem is, whenever there is a deadline, most of the vendors in market are implementing some other circular, which is near. So it is like a government office, urgent kaam hai wahi karne ka. Suppose if any circular is released today, other than say MTF, which is 18th July, and some circular is after 2 months, we don't get time to apply our mind or even neither the market. So सब last moment पे आता है. Second thing, what happens, even if we ask clarification, the best example is upstream. Right. Upstream, there was a lot of ambiguity. I have been personally went to NSE, BSE many times and said upstream, the money is fungible, you can't bifurcate to brokerage, etc. Then the problem is that nobody listens, because sometimes it is like regulator has imposed to the CC or exchange, so they are forced to implement by hook or crook. Then what happens, someone has to understand the practical difficulty. So broker also explain, we also try and explain. But sometimes they say, okay. Then the circular comes on one fine day, or mostly T-1 evening, late night. Because of the feedback received from so and so, mostly market participant, this deadline has been extended. So far, I think from vendor group, other than the repledge, which was not clear, and recently one more case caller at MTF, vendor community has never said you extend the circular. You know why? Repledge, it has not been tested. The whatever picture that has been given, and it was my own personal prediction, and I think I have been speaking to ANMI this earlier during repledge. If the system goes live, broker will lose money. And that has happened, if you see the last, next 1 week after this repledge went live, on an average 75-80 lakhs for a mid-sized broker was a loss, because OTP nahi aata tha, the system has not been tested. But at the same time, broking community or all these forums, they should be very strong enough to inform the practical difficulty if the things are not tested. Otherwise, it will go for a toss. Common contract, we have been after regulators to provide, UAT, and they have not been. All the previous extension was without UAT. You can imagine the sensitivity of the common contract note, From retail perspective, it is fine. It is a simple thing. From the FPI perspective, it has been so sensitive that we were sometimes forced to tell something कि अगर आज सबका hand delivery होएगा तो कल market नहीं खुलेगा. So for that, what is the way out? Way out is not to implement, but way out is to tell regulators to provide proper UAT, which ultimately they have provided. Otherwise, itna confidence se aaj jata nahi tha. And probably at least I would not have been here if we would have not tested common contract. I decided at around 5 o'clock, after all STP has been completed. But it is good that regulators are now providing proper UAT. But in UDIF, it was a blunder for a depository, where testing environment was not there, everything was matka. So a lot of broker and even vendor also suffered. So ultimately, you people are unnecessarily paying penalty for the system fault because it was not being tested.
और रूप सर सेफ ग्रुप में हम लोग जो तरीके से काम करते हैं, ऑल्दो हम सारे वेंडर अलग अलग है, लेकिन कहीं किसी को कोई वेंडर अटका है तो बिंदास क्वेरी लिख रहा है और सामने से जवाब भी मिल रहा है. So you can imagine all of us are vendor, competitor, but when it comes to, so we work in that way to meet the deadlines, यानी कि कोई अटकता नहीं है.
Bhavesh bhai, you have mentioned very rightly, and I agree with that. I am saying only at the time when something initialized, At that point of time, if those timelines can be discussed jointly with the
But
regulator, that will...
sometimes the scope of work is not known, you know. If you read this MTF circular now, even after reading 5 times,
It's still not
we
clear.
know.
I am telling you, it's
Now,
still not clear.
we have done now a lot of research, but it is not. So what happens, you know, you can't estimate certain thing. And again, there is a pressure of multiple circular coming out. UDIF ke saath, ASBA, T0, direct payout, all these things are together. So vendor cannot focus on multiple things. Ek to source code maintenance, customer and this. That is why the regulator should sequentialize the changes which is pertaining to the major architecture change in the system.
So I guess important takeaway is that the software and the back office has become even more important, just like probably the front end. You know, in the olden times, the back office was a neglected entity, and it was more in terms of, you know, do the business, get the soda, back office will do what it will do. My point is, just to take something ahead, the SAFE group, you know, we are facing something, and some other brokers also, is that maybe we don't have the software which is widely used. So in the sense, your SAFE group may have 40 people or 40 different software vendors, but some do not actually cope up and are not able to deliver on time. I don't know how many of them may be part of that. And because of that, penalties are, you know, kind of put on due to mismatches to the brokers. How you can actually, you know, work along within the SAFE group. So before you roll out something, if that SAFE group ensures that the last guy in the line has also done the development, and then only the regulator takes up. Is that a possibility?
See, technically it is not possible. Why? Because each vendor has their own database design, their own architecture, their own vision of software. Every time, market cannot expect that all the vendors will be at right time, 100% accurate for all these complex releases. Some vendor may have X terminology, X architecture. He may take 10 days to revert back. Some people may do it in 2 days, etc. And because the architectures are different. If you compare individual vendor, individual mindset, individual experience, compare it with the exchange. Even though all these exchange and clearing, they have all the system in place, UDIF, there was still a lot of errors. So everything on technology and fast implementation cannot be synchronized. But yes, what you rightly mentioned is correct. Whenever there are such big things, even the in-house developer of at least top 10, top 20 brokers who are in touch with me personally and many of our other vendor group, we try and help them also, or they also try and help us. If someone is a new vendor, maybe in-house sort of thing, we still tell them ki itna hai. A recent example is yesterday. ICCL, I got a call ki one broker is telling, I am not ready with that designated custodian called settlement number. I said, you right now take that person, whoever broker is, and we said ki aap itna hardcode kar do. Don't tell at the last moment that it is there, you know. The seriousness has to be there on other side. But yes, architecturally one has to understand each system is different. They will take their own time, you know, to develop, deliver, test. So you can't help because it is all different packages. और अगर सेम रहता था तो then there would not have been many vendors like us.
Last question. We'll take this last question.
Thank you, ANMI, for bringing us together. It really makes a good bond to make it as a team and as an industry. So I just want to ask one question about cybersecurity. We have been talking a lot about that, and it's really need of the hour. But then, what is the preparation happening on the other side as a vendor, if you can enlighten us something with that? There are some dependencies which are 100% put up on vendors. For example, you have to give us the STQC certificate or software bill of material, etc., where we as a partner can just be the recipients. So in this situation, what can we get some kind of light from your side? It will be really helpful to understand. Thanks.
As far as my company is concerned, whatever we release with the VAPT audit, that is what and periodically I mail to my customer, okay, what beyond my software, cybersecurity is an entire umbrella, you know, there's a back office, your router, your servers, everything come under the cyber security. So we are the just one point is a back office. Definitely, we develop two-way authentication and a lot more, but that is under my back office. So cyber security, you people have to be very much serious beyond back office. And imagine today using AI tool, there are a college guy can easily penetrate and generate the code. Even we never imagine that this is thing happening everywhere. So you rightly mentioned is the biggest threat, and what I wish ANMI come out with some team. Basically, when we are with SEBI, you know, what SEBI has suggest, you take a dedicated team only doing this thing, rather than giving to third-party auditor. See, auditor, they charge you something, when you give a discount, they reduce certain audit point. Even, it's a beyond auditor, basically. That auditor run the few EXEs and just making a beautiful printout. And we are happy. But that's not the thing. I think say, in ANMI level, there is a dedicated team, work 24/7, and constantly evolve, rather than moving towards auditor. That is my suggestion.
One more point on data encryption. You know, a lot of people say, auditor says, data needs to be encrypted. Nobody understands in share market, you cannot encrypt all the transaction file. You know, there are ways and means, but ultimately because of the lack of awareness, they just write, as he said, just print out of running some tool and giving the suggestion. Nobody goes in detail and tells encryption mein kya hoega. And second thing, we as a vendor sometimes tell, okay, you encrypt it, then you don't tell us ki decryption ka overhead lagta hai and my contract, my processing takes time, you know. So that is how it is. About the last thing on STQC, we all vendors, specifically Shilpi from Delhi, 4 years back, they went to the STQC office. They said, this certificate is not for you. And we have then met one consultant, we have met directly to the SEBI, and it is going on. SEBI also is telling that STQC, either they will amend or something. But still, there is a circular which is given to the exchange. और दूसरा क्या होता है ना, SEBI tells all MII tells broker, and ultimately it comes to vendor. So ultimately we give standard answer, दूसरे का ले लो, whoever is STQC compliant. So STQC I think will be diluted.
Okay, so I thank all the panelists for their insightful and meaningful remarks. As we come to the culmination of this event, it is my distinct honor to welcome Mr. Mahesh Kumar to propose vote of thanks. Mr. Mahesh Kumar is an experienced banking and financial professional affiliated with Abans Group in Mumbai. He holds a position of director at Abans Securities and Abans Broking Limited, as well as director and CEO of Abans Finance PVT Limited. He currently serves as Vice Chairman of ANMI Western Region. Please, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the ANMI Western Region, I have the immense pleasure of extending our heartfelt thanks to each one of you for making today's meet. It is indeed a great feeling to get together and meet everyone here and have a real discussion on various matters. It's a real great feeling here. A special thanks to our distinguished panelists. It's been an honor to have all of you here and discuss a lot about back office. Thank you, sir. And your expertise and perspectives have really been seen here, and I think many people will be more than happy to talk to you once you get off the stage, rather than on the stage. We sincerely thank all the members, including those who have traveled from other cities in Mumbai, in Gujarat, from Gujarat and other places. Our sincere appreciation also goes to Mr. Chairman Arjun Shaw for holding this meet and to have a new topic. When in today's world, I think technology is the most important thing, and it's growing like anything. And AI is going to be the next future. I think this is really going to be an evolving thing which we need to really cultivate. Finally, thank you all once again for your presence, enthusiasm, and continuous support. We look forward to your continued involvement in future events as we continue to seek innovative ideas to benefit our community. Thank you once again for being here. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. We are happy to inform that from Tech Excel, we have Mr. Girish Rupani here with us today for exchange of views and ideas. We have Mr. Ramchandra Sate from Apex Softcell. We have Mr. Ravi Ramaya from SegMark. For exchange of views and ideas. And now the floor is open for networking and dinner. Thank you all once again for your time. Thank you very much. Thank you.